Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we have a puzzle by Niverio for you, the brilliant solver and setter from Turkey. It's called Network, and it seems to me to be a hybrid of two rules that we've seen quite a lot of times before, but I don't remember having seen them combined together. So these are quadruple clues we've got in the grid, and also between lines. And if I'm not mistaken, this thing that has been drawn in the grid, it doesn't look like a network to me. It looks like that thing out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's sort of a Triffid type creature. And yeah, anyway, we'll have a look at this in a moment. I do know this puzzle is meant to be quite challenging. I'm not sure exactly what that means. You will have to judge from the length of the video, assuming I can solve it at all. But we'll have a look at the rules in a moment or two. I don't have any birthdays today, surprisingly, after the plethora of birthdays that we had yesterday. So really a reminder that if you like your cryptic crosswords, we're trying at the moment to do a clue a day over on Twitter. So our Twitter handle is @crypticcracking. So if you want to find good cryptic clues, check out today's tweet. And then over on Patreon, of course, we have got Alice's. Oh, it's not in the right place. Alice's Adventures in Sudokuland, which is the work of the Paint by Numbers Institute. A lot of very, very happy punters have been working their way through this hunt. You only have to solve 3 puzzles to be in with a chance of winning the prize, and if you solve all 12 you'll get a shout out on the channel if you can get your entry in by the 10th of March. And many thanks to Montinox, TheAsylum and Panthera for creating the puzzles, all of which have a sort of Japanese sum theme. So there are pictures involved, there's poetry involved, there are very few better ways to spend your spare time, and certainly not your puzzling time, than having a crack at that. And then we've got Glum Hippo. I've only got one more day of names after today to read you a successful solvers of the whole of February's hunt. So very well done to Professor Tara Magdalinsky, Riddy Danawat, Lachlan Kelly, Jacko Dreyer, Oliver Walden, Nikolai Klinkby, Marty Slobe, Andrew and Ruth Boardman, Gunter Gera, Jean-Yves Carrier, Walter Matthews, Debbie Fisher, April and Kevin Fanning, Paul Zielinski, Phil Bolton, Finola and Matthias Schmidt, Jerome Duman, and Hanno Hennighausen. All of you, very well done. That is some brilliant solving. And now, let's see if I can do any brilliant solving. Let's have a look at Niverio's network. These are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 in each row, in each column, and in each 3x3 box just once each. Digits along a line must have values between the digits on the circled ends of that line. So let's look at those 2 squares because they're unadulterated by quadruple clues. So if this square here was a 3 and this square here was a, let's make it, oh, I can't make it 7. I'm going to swap this round. I'm going to make that 3 and that 7. Then these 2 cells would have to be between 3 and 7. So they could be 4, 5, 6, and that's it. In fact, they could only be 4s, 5s and 6s because they'd need to lie between 3 and 7 on the line. And then digits in a white circle must appear in at least one of the cells touching that circle. So what that means is that in those 4 cells we must put at least 1 2 and 1 3. Now we couldn't put 2 2s and 2 3s in this 2x2 because they're all in the same box, but here you could absolutely put 2 7s in like that. But we have to make sure there is 1 7 in that 2x2. Do have a go at the puzzle. Niverio's puzzles are always an absolute treat. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking, and I'm going to start with my secret about between lines. There is only one secret I know about between lines, and that is that you can't put 1s and 9s along the line. So these 2 digits couldn't be a 1, because then one of these circles would have to be lower than a 1 in order for its value to sort of frame the value of 1, and we can't put zeros into either of those cells. So that means that 1 in box 4 is in one of these two cells, 1 in box 5 is in one of these two cells, and 1 in box 6 is in one of these 3 cells. I said these 3 because we can't put 1 on a line again in box 5. Right. Hang on. That's done diddly squat, as we say in the trade. It looks like Niverio wants me to put a 1 in one of those 2 cells, but I don't think that's quite forced yet. Oh, 2, right. Okay, another tip, this time not for between lines, but quadruple clues, is if you can find digits that are common between 2 quadruple clues, and I'm seeing that 2s are common between those. So I know that 2 in column 3 now can't be there and can't be there. So there's a 2 in one of those 3 cells. And again, well, if that's a 2, that can't be a 1. So that would have to be a 1. That might be possible, I'm not sure. If one of these was a 2, there would be a 2 in one of those, which again, there's almost stuff going on with 2s and 1s, I think. Good grief, I mean, there's really... My 2 secrets have let me down here. There's not much going on at all. At least unless I'm missing something, there's nothing in common between this 3, 4, 8 and this 2, 6, 7. And actually these 2 quadruple clues here are not very helpful, because I just don't think they are, because I can't tell. I can tell that one of those digits must be on the between line, but I don't know which one it is. Obviously I could put 3 and 4 on. Well, I could put 4 and 8 on as well. It just feels more likely to me that the 2 digits that are close together are going to go on the line. Oh dear, this is bad at the moment. I think I am completely missing the point of this. Hang on, what is going on? Oh, of course, right. Sorry. What I had neglected, I was looking for complicated things, but why don't I look at that 2 by 2? That has 7 in it. So where does the 7 go around that 2 by 2? It must be in one of those 2 cells. Now, if 7 was on the line, one of these squares would have to be at least an 8. If that was an 8... Oh, that's right. Okay, that was not where I thought that was going. Oh, that's really pretty. Right, we're going to look at this square now, because that square is restricted, believe it or not. And it's restricted because of the weird shape of these lines. So what I was thinking, and this is a good way to start this, is how would I make this an 8? Because I said, well, if that's a 7, I needed to put a high digit in one of those, and I was trying to put 8 here because I could see 8 was then going to be restricted along this in this 2 by 2. But if I do put 8 there, I have to put 8 there on this quadruple clue, and that doesn't work because this digit won't be between the 2 edges, because it will be the same as one of the edges, and that's not the same as between the 2 edges. And that means that logic is extendable to all of those digits because it's symmetrical. You know, if we try and make this a 7, well, 7's bad because we know 7's in one of those. Let's try and make this a 6. That's going to force that to be a 6 around this quadruple clue, and then that 6 will not be between the 6 and whatever we put in there. So this square has to not be 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 or 8, so it is 1, 5 or 9. Which is surely That's surely something I was meant to notice very quickly and failed to do. Now, what's that doing? Oh, my radiator's just made a very funny noise, even though it's not time for radiators to come on yet. If that's a 1... Hang on, if that's a 1, where do we put 1 in this box is my next question. Because that 2 and 3 are going to be interesting. If that's a 1... That... Oh, this... Okay. Oh, that's really... Alright, that's just gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. I now believe I've got a digit in this puzzle, somewhat surprisingly. I think this is a 5. Now, I'm not certain about this, but I think it is, because if that's a 1, that can't be a 1 in box 1. And we know that from the secret of between lines, 1 can't go on a line. So 1 is in one of those 2 cells, but that gives me a massive problem with the 2 and the 3 in this quadruple. Because I now can't put 2 on the line, because I couldn't put a 1 in a circle. But if I can't put 2 on the line, now what do I do with 3, which I have to put on the line, which requires a 1 or a 2 in the circle, neither of which can go there? That is beautiful. And the point that's really cool is that not only can this not be a 1, but if that's a 9, I get the same problem with 7 and 8 up there. Because 9 now can't go there, or on a line, so 9 has to be in one of those, which means we can't put 8 on the line, which means that becomes a 9-8 pair, and then I can't put 7 on the line, but I would have to. So that's a 5. Bingo. Now we're off to the races. So therefore, come on, Braid. Give me a break. What does that do? That tells us that... I haven't got a clue what that does, actually. So 5 now is not in those. So 5 lives in one of those cells. So this, now, if we could do this, which we can't, I would write 5 into the circle with the 2 and the 3, because I now know that there is a 5 in this quadruple clue, in effect. Because it can't go anywhere else in this box. Now, is that the same? I presume that's the same by symmetry over there. I can't put it in the same circle because there would be literally no digits then I could put on the line if that's also a 5. I can't put 5 on its own line. Yeah, so there's a 5 up there. So, oh dear. Okay, sorry, I'm not spotting anything clever as a result of that, I don't think. Sorry, I realise I'm just corpsing. It's because I feel like I must be able to do something. This 5 felt like that felt like the break-in. If I had designed that 5, you know, as a creature we could discover in the early parts of the solve, I'd be very, very proud of that. So I think Niverio must have been very pleased with constructing this 5, and he will want this to do something beyond the fact it just gives you a 5 here. It's probably something to do with these, because 5 is a middly digit. Is this... am I supposed to understand? Where have my... I've got my 7 pencil mark here. There's a 3 pencil mark I can get in exactly the same way there. So if that's a 3, this has to be lower than 3 and couldn't be 2. That would have to be 1. But that doesn't need to be a 3. This could be the 3. Oh, all right. That's just really clever. Okay. I have a feeling that today is going to be a day when Simon is made to look simple over and over again. Okay. Now, what I noticed at the start and said fatuously, but actually turns out to be important now, is that on that quadruple clue, 3, 4, or 8, or more than one of those digits must appear on this line. So let's go through those options because it's interesting. If 8 is on the line, if 8 is in one of those two, that clearly has to be 9. So that's one possibility. If 3 is on the line, 3 would have to go there. But now this square has to be lower than 3. But it can't be 2 because of the quadruple clue. So this would have to be 1. But if this is 4 on the line, if there's a 4 in one of those, then the same logic applies. This has to be lower than 4, but it can't be 2 or 3 because of the quadruple clue in the corner. So this square is always 1 or 9, and I bet you it's the same over here because of the 7 and the 8. It's very clever. This is going to be a 1-9 pair. So if we try this on this one, we can't hide 2, 6 and 7 into those two squares because there are only 2 of them and there are 3 of the digits 2, 6 and 7. So one of the digits must be, at least one of them must be on the line. If it's 2, that's a 1. That's clear. If it's 6 or 7, this has to be higher than that digit, but it can't be 7 or 8. So it has to be 9. It's just very clever. It's just very clever setting. So now 1 and 9 are a pair here, which means 1 and 9 in this box are in those cells, which means that now there is definitely a 3 and or a 7 on these lines, because we can't put 3 here and 7 here and make this a Schrödinger cell where it's simultaneously 1 and 9. So hang on a minute. So one of these at least is. So, for example, if that's not 3, that is 7, and that would make that 9. And then there'd be a 9. Well, there would be a 9 here. There would be a 9 in one of those 3. If that's a 9, that's a 1. And then I can't put. So then there would be an 8 in one of those two, because I couldn't put 8 on the line anymore. If that's 1. Let me just think about this. If that's 1, that's 9. This can now absolutely have 2 and 3 on it, but doesn't need to have. This line can't have 8 on it anymore. But it could have 3. It could have 3 and 4 on it, I think. But then this line couldn't have 2 on it. But it could have 6, 7 and 8 on it. I mean, that's just not doing anything at all, is it? I don't think. Okay, so we need to look somewhere else. Where else are we going to be looking? Again, hang on. Look, I've got a 3 in one of those squares, and that's a 2 and a 3 on this quadruple. So there is a 3 in one of those squares, which means there is a 3 in one of these squares. Again, if that's a 3, then one of these has to be really quite low. Oh dear, oh dear. What? I mean, what on earth am I meant to look at now? Is there balm in Gilead? Tell me truly, I implore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. 7. 7 here. Is this somehow? Oh, for goodness sake. Right. that is not a 2. If that's a 2, where do I put the 2 on this quadruple? And the answer is along the line. And that doesn't work because then this is obviously not either higher or lower than a digit on the line. So that is not a 2. So 2 is in one of these two squares. So does that work for some other digit? What's that doing? That's knocking this. Yeah, the same as, so this is not, right, I understand. So this digit is not 1, it's not 2, and it's not 3, because again, 3 will work the same way. If I put that 3 there, that's going to be a 3, and that breaks this line. So this digit is higher than 3. Okay, all right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I know that is an overkill. Let me just think about that, though. Is that doing something? If I make that 7, it forces 7 in one of those two cells. Does it imply this? Well, that can't be 2 or 3. If that's 1, that's 1. That's 9. That's 1. Right, okay. Okay, that doesn't work. Why didn't I thought I looked at this? Oh, it's not symmetrical. All right, this is what I've missed. Okay, again, I've missed something. This square here is not a 9. Now I think I looked at whether it could be a 1 and concluded it could be, and that's good because it is a 1. Because if it's a 9. The problem is now 3 and 4 here, well, and 6 and 7 here. We're going to get a Schrödinger cell here. We must not get a Schrödinger cell here. What do I mean? Well, if this is 9, the question then is, what do we do with the 3 and the 4 around this quadruple clue? And the answer is they have to go there in those two squares. So those two have to be a 3-4 pair in some order. But making this 9 makes this 1, and that makes those two squares have to be a 6-7 pair in some order. But that means it's not now, we know these two digits, the purple digit here and the blue digit here, are not 1s and 9s anymore. So where do we put 1 and 9 in this box? Both of them have to go there, and that doesn't work. So this tells us that we can not do this. In fact, we must not do this. So this is now 1, this is now 9. And therefore, well, hang on. What got me thinking about this was something to do with this digit, wasn't it? What was that? Oh yes, I was thinking about this digit. Because this digit now can't be 1, 2 or 3, so that's at least 4 as well. So that's 4, 6, 7, 8 or 9. So it feels to me like these two digits, we've got to be a little bit careful about these two cells. These can't be too close together. I think that feels close to being quite interesting, doesn't it? Can I do... I don't know. Okay, well look. What we can do now is we can say 8. 8, right, so let's go back to that earlier highlighting, because 8 is now off the line, because it's not between 1 and 5. But 3 and 4 could be on the line. So 8 is in one of those two squares. I don't think this is going to do very much. This is very strange. that digit's got to now be not 9, 7 or 8 or 5. So that digit is 6, 1, 2, 3 or 4. Which which might matter. And these two digits have to carry the 2, don't they? So let's reinstall that weird. So where I've got some very odd pencil marking here, and that's why I'm using coloured highlighting to remind me of the fact that those 2's there are not. I'm not just talking about the 2 in that box. I'm talking the 2 is crossing into one of those squares. So either 6 or 7 or both are now on this line, and either 3 and 4 or both are on this line. Okay, sorry, now desperately trying to work out what that means. We could use that. Is this much more straightforward than I'm thinking it is? It feels very tricky. It really does. I suppose, alright, okay, I suppose what I can do now, which I've resisted doing, is I can actually pencil mark those 2 squares. They've got to be from 2, 3 and 4 just because they do. And oh, hang on, is that just a naked single? It is. Oh, sorry, that's easy. It was easy. Look, that's a 4 because it's got to not be 2 or 3, yet it has to be between 1 and 5. Right, but that doesn't mean that's not. It does mean that's not a 4, but it doesn't mean that's necessarily not a 4. That could put a 4 up there if that was a 4. There's nothing that says digits can't repeat on between lines. Alright, but does that work for this square as well? Yes, it does. Look, that square can't be 7 or 8, and yet it must be between 5 and 9, so that's a 6, which means that's not a 6. And that digit is either it's either 6, 7 or 8, isn't it? But that's not 8 because it sees both purples, and I know from my purple pencil mark that one of those is 8. So that's not 8, and don't tell me, does that mean that's not 2? It does. Okay, the trick applies here. You can't put 2 in here because it would repeat in blue. So this digit is down to 3 or 4. That digit is 6 or 7. And these digits has that actually done anything? Has that done anything at all for me? I don't know. I just don't know. Sorry. That one. Look. Now these two have suddenly got even closer. This 4 is pretty, isn't it? I didn't spot that. It might. No, we don't know about that one yet. I'm going to check this one as well because I suspect the symmetry is going to do something for me here. But this digit is now quite high, and that digit is even higher because it can't be 4 or 5. So on this line now, we need digits, even if that was a 5 and that was a 9, which is as far apart as they could be, these digits have to be from 6, 7 and 8. Good grief. So that digit can't be a 7 anymore because that would require, if we put that 7 here, 7 couldn't repeat on the line, and the line would contain 6 and 8 6 and 8, and there would be nothing I could put in there. So that is not 7, and that must apply there as well. That can't be 7 anymore. And in fact, look, you've got to be even more careful with this one, because if that was 8, that would be a 6-7 pair, and you couldn't make that 5. Right, look, this is down to 5, 6, or 9 now. I'm sure we can do better than this as well. There must be some little trick that Niverio is playing on me here. If neither of these was a 9, that would have to be an 8. 8, 5, 6, how that would work. 6, 7 would push a 7 into that square, which would push an 8 into that square. One 9, that would then have to be a 2. I don't know. I don't know if that's okay or not. If you look carefully at the nonsense pencil marks I've got in box 1, those 6 squares actually have the digits 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in them. So those digits must be from 6, 7, 8 and 9, which is quite interesting. Now, right, so that's a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple then. So there must be an 8 and a 9 in these 3 digits, because this square cannot be an 8 or a 9. So there's definitely an 8 and a 9 in these digits. Which is presumably in some way important. I'm sure it is. What about those squares then? Okay, so these squares have to be low. They've got to be from 1, 2, 3 and 4, because they see a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quintuple. So again, right, 1 and 2 have to be over there. Oh, this is... I'm not used to this restriction at all, am I? I'm finding it very hard to fiddle my way through this. So now, that's very low. But that, I don't think... How did I restrict that to being so few things? Oh, I know why. It's because of the 2, 3 pair here. So I was able to knock 1, 2 and 3 out of this square. But that square, if that was 2 or 3, it's not... it doesn't work. Well, no, I don't think it does work. If that's a 2 and that's a 2, that's having no effect on this circle. Well, actually, that's not true. It is... No, it is actually... Maybe it is having an effect on the circle. Because that has to be high. This might be under more pressure than I realised. Although it's naturally going to have to be quite high anyway. If that was 2, that's got no value. If that was 3, that's got no value. So it's ruled out by this anyway. All right, so that could be... If that's... It can't be 1. So it's not 1, 2 or 3. Can it be 4? That would make this a 2, 3 pair. And this a 1. Now why can't that be a 2, 3 pair? That would put a 3 here. It would put... That's a 2, 3 pair. It would put a 2 here. Put a 2 here. Oh, Bobbin's face. It would be quite good, because if I can get rid of... Obviously 6 and 9 are get rid ofable. 4, 2, 3, 1. 3. then that has to be 2. That has to be 1, 9. Ah! It causes all sorts of troubles. That has to be 3. That has to be 8. That has to be 7. That has to be 6, 8. That has to be 9, and that has to be... It causes an immense amount of sort of a chain reaction just sets off in the network. But unfortunately, I don't actually think it breaks anything. I don't think, anyway. I might be wrong, but I don't think it breaks anything. So, okay, so I haven't been able to get rid of 4 easily from here, although I can see that if this is a 4, it's hugely powerful. It could, I think, be 5. Do we think it can be 5? Don't see why not. Can't be 6. 7 and 8 are presumably okay. And 9 is not okay. So, and the problem is that if this is... Yeah, so it's probably quite high, that's probably quite high, and then this is probably quite low. And that would allow 2 and or 3 to appear on the line here. In fact, that's probably a 1. But probably doesn't butter any parsnips, as markers want to say. It doesn't work, does it? Alright, so what else is it that we've got to appreciate here? This feels the most restricted part of the grid. It really does. Why can't that be a 7? If that's got 7 on it, that has to be 7. I'm just going to look at that for a second. If that's 7, that's plonking... I know it's giving me a 1-9 pair here. Which I can see is also pushing 2 here. I'm not seeing quite how this is triggering clever things. Oh, actually that's it. Here's something I hadn't seen. Let's just get rid of that 7 here. 3 can't go in that little square around this quadruple because of this 2-3 pair. So it's not there, and it's not there. So 3 is in one of those 2 cells. Which is, well, it's interesting, but what's that doing? What's that doing to the price of bread? Is it anything? I don't think so. I mean, again, I'm sort of hesitating because I can't see how to quite get to grips with that. If that's... Maybe I can force this. See, if that's not 6, it's got to be 8 or 9, and then that has to be... If that's 8 or 9, that could still be 6. I know it wasn't 9. Is that useful? I don't know. I think there's something I'm meant to be appreciating about this 7. 7... See, if I can prove that's not 7, I would know that was 6, 8, and that would give me everything. That would give me a 5 and a 9. Cool. Okay, how do we do that then? Why is it that that's not 7? I think I looked at this before and I couldn't disprove it. That forces this to be 6. Hang on. What's going on here? This, I feel like I've just run into... Something feels wrong. What is it? Something feels wrong. 3. Oh, it's simple. Oh, Simon. What is wrong with your brain, man? How embarrassing. Oh, goodness me. Right, okay. Okay. It's very cute, actually. It's very pretty. That cannot be 6. Ah, it's beautiful, actually, isn't it? I've seen all the little interactions linking together. Oh, oh no. Okay. This is. Yeah, this is. I think I've got another digit here. I don't think that can be 3 either. I think that's got to be 3. Right. The key is, if this is 7, it makes this 6, and that puts double 6 on here. Look. So we've got to go double 6. Now, what does that make those 2 digits? Well, it makes these 2 digits have to be 2 and 7. But if that's 7, this digit we know from my purple highlighting is a 3. So again, I run into the 1. This has to be a Schrödinger cell. That has to be 1 and 9. Because I know that the 1 and the 9 fit in those 3 cells. And it just doesn't work. But it's the same logic exactly if this is a 3. Because that forces this to be a 4, it forces those 2 squares to be a 3, 8. But this being a 3 also forces that to be a 2, and again we get a Schrödinger problem. So the 3 here is more, well, it's more instantly powerful, because we know that cannot be a 3. So we get a 3 here instantly, although I don't know if this is going to do anything. But the other thing, of course, that this not being able to be a 7 does, is it plonks a 7 in there, which means that these 2 squares are now a 6, 8 pair, and this is going to do things. Because now, one of those has to be lower than 6. The only option is this being a 5. We need one higher than 8, so that's got to be a 9. That's no longer a 5, look. These are not able to be... Oh, hang on, is that 6? Hang on. I'm not sure about this. What this 6 is doing here. I suspect that's not. That was caused by me saying what happens if this is a 7. So I can't yet conclude on this, I don't think. I hope I wasn't able to do this and I've just reinstated a digit I'd already worked out. I don't think that was justified. Now, what's that done? It's taken all the pressure off this. I know there's an 8 in one of those squares. It's given me a 6, 8 pair here. Which probably does something. Oh, that can't be 4 now. Because if that's 4, it's not possible to put 3 on here. So 2, 3 pair is ruled out from there. Ah, all these little tiny interactions. They're really clever. And I've missed lots of them, haven't I? So now what? Have I understood enough to make more progress? I'm not so sure I have, actually. I got a little flurry of activity as a result of my calculations. I know there's a 7 in one of those squares. I'm going to redden those. So I know there's a 7 in one of these. I will give that a pencil mark. So there's not a 7 here. And I've got my 3 here, which is there. Okay, so the new information that we've got from the world is that this is a 5. Now, has that somehow... I don't think... What am I meant to appreciate from that? This digit? Is that somehow pressured? I don't think so. I mean, obviously, if that's a 2, that's very straightforward. Then that has to be a 1. I'm not sure if that does anything. Oh yeah, okay, so it's asymmetric. I hadn't spotted this. That little line there doesn't exist on that side, look. So our trifid, this is a sort of, it's fallen off. This pod of the trifid, this pod, this foot, is disconnected. Alright, okay, so how do we do this then? These digits, I mean, I presume it's not going to be the case that I have to pencil mark these, is it? I don't, well, I'm going to do it now because I've just had the idea of it. Those are 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So I just don't think that's so. If what's that telling me? If that's 4, that's still got loads of options. I can't see how to restrict this. I bet you there's some way that we can just fill these in up here now. And that would be good to know, wouldn't it? 6, 7, 6, 8. I know there's a 1 in one of these squares. I know there's a 2 in one of these squares. This is the one. This is the place we want the 2. Well, though, actually, if that was a 2, that would give me a 7 here. Does that? Well, that. Oh, 7. Aha. Sorry, I've not used my red 7 pencil mark. So this is 2, 4, 5, or oh, it's not 6 either. Oh, good grief! Hang on. We're down to 2, 4, and 5 here. That seems very important. Can I not? If I can knock 1 out of that, this will be a 4, 5 pair. Why is this not 1? It's not 1 because there is a 1 in one of those. There is a 1 in one of these. So if this is 4 now, I haven't got 2 digits I can put on that. So this is not 4. This is down to 1, 2, or 3. I don't think that's very cool, actually. So if that's 3, that has to be 4, 5. If this is 1, only if this is 1 is this able to have a 2 on it. Okay, so the other way this gets resolved is if there's some way I can know which way round these 2's go over here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not just counting. I am trying to do some thinking as well. 9 in box 5 has to be in one of those squares. 5 is a bit strange, isn't it? 5 actually only can't go on its own between lines, so 5 is in one of those cells. But I don't think there's a problem with it being here. In fact, it's quite likely, if that's... Yeah, no, if that's 5, that's low. It can't be 3. Oh dear, Niverio, what are you doing to me here? This is really hard. 48, 24, I don't know where to look. Have I somehow, from my nodal network, have I somehow learnt something that I should now understand better? Could it be... I mean, I feel it's got to be one of those 2 circles. Is it that it might be to do with the 2 and the 3 here? Is there some way I can conclude? Because if I know 2 is on this line, then I know for sure that this has to be a 1, and that's going to be, well, it might not be super powerful, but it's probably a bit powerful. I know there's an 8 in one of those squares. I know there's a 2 in one of these squares. But if that was 2 and that was 8, is there anything wrong with that? Don't know. Probably not. Okay. What about 5 in the middle box? I've already looked at that. I'm running out of ideas here, guys. I'm running out of sensible suggestions. It's such a shame if I have to abandon this, because I feel like I have done some sensible things. Oh, this 8 down here, I've not thought about that. Is that somehow... Oh, no, I don't think I know anything about 8s in the world. If this is higher than 5, that forces these to be a 2-3 pair, doesn't it? Is there some problem with that I'm not seeing? That would be a 3, that would be a 2. So if... I'm just trying to think. Let's just make that 9 for a moment. That forces this to be 2-3. I don't know. I don't think there's a problem with that. Maybe there is, but I don't know what it is. Let's... What could it be? What could it be? Or is it that cell? Is that somehow... I don't think that cell is just not under pressure, is it? And is there some way we can... Everything's so connected. You know, there are consequences to everything here. If we can get rid of 2 from here... Yeah, see, things like where does 2 go in row 4? It's either exactly there or it's on this line and forces this to be a 1. But if 2 is there, that becomes a 7. Well, that's probably fine. Obviously that makes this 4-5. It takes all the pressure off this digit. We could... What else can we do here? I think it might be possible somehow to prove that it's not possible for both of those digits to be off the line. Because if we did know there was a low digit, a digit lower than 5 on this line, then we would at least know that this was low. Okay, that can't be... Right, that can't be 9, actually, I've just noticed, because that's going to break here, isn't it? Because we'd have to put 7 and 8 there, and that would have no value. Right, so this is not 9, it's not 7 or 8, that's too close, because we need a gap of 2. So this digit is either... 6 doesn't work either, actually, because I can't make it work there. And it's not 5. Oh, that's it. That's what I've missed. There we go. Well, when I say I've missed it, I'm not sure. So now, if this wasn't 1, how do we make this work in here? We could put 4 on this line. If this was 3, 4, and that was 2, that would be 2. I don't know. Right, well, okay, this can't be 4. Oh, no, yeah, that can't be 4 because it's attaching to the 5, sorry. Right, so that's 1 or 2, and those digits are from 2, 3, and 4, I suppose. But I still don't know what's going... that's not 3, because I know the 3's over this side. How do I know that? Oh, because I think there's a 3 in one of those two squares. Good grief, right. Alright, so do I know that there's a 2 in here? Because that would get rid of this 2, and that would feel very useful. I don't know that actually, but I do actually know that digit is not 7. Ah, that's it. Well, I want to say that's it. It's the most minor thing in the world ever. But because where do those digits go in this box? Well, I can't put both of them there because one of these is a 1 by this quadruple clue. So the only other cell that this pair of digits, let's give them a highlighting, that pair of digits can go is here. So one of them goes here. It's a 2, 3 or a 4, which means it's not a 7, which means that is a 7, which pushes the 1 over. Now that being a 7, is it going to do anything? Actually that is doing something. I've suddenly realised that's a 2 or a 4, and it's not it's not a 4. Oh, good grief, that's very cute. Alright, very, very clever stuff, Niverio. So actually, if I'd spotted that this digit was restricted more quickly, I should have done, shouldn't I? I should have just focused on the fact that this... Yeah, that wasn't a difficult deduction. Anyway, but look now, that 4 sees that square, so that's a 2, which means this is not a 2, it's a 4, 5. That takes the pressure off these circles. But this is now a 1, 9 pair by the power of Sudoku. 2. And now there is a 2 in this domino, which means I get the 1 here. There is a 2 in the domino because we know that that digit is repeated on this domino by the power of yellow. So that's a 1. This is no longer... Oh, this is good. This is good. 1 and 9 go into the grid. This digit is not 1 or 9. And now we know those two digits are 1 and 9, and we know the order because of Sudoku. So that's 1. That's 9. Come on. Ooh, well, 9's in one of those squares, not on the line, obviously by the secret. Wow, come on. Come on. We could go... we could dance away here. Right, where do we put 7 around there? It's got to go there, look. That's the only place it can go. Where do we put 2 around here? It's got to go here. Oh, huge. No. Okay, 7 comes out of this square. So we get a 6, 8 pair. Let's get rid of some pencil marks here. Do I know what that is there for? Yes. Yes, because once that becomes 1, they have to effectively be 3, 4 and 8. That's huge as well. So that's got to be the 3, that's got to be the 8, that's got to be the 6, that's got to be the 6, that's got to be the 8. I've got an 8 living in one of those squares down there. If that was 8, one of these would have to be 9, which would have to be this one. Which would make that a 9, which is broken because they can't have 2. Right, okay, we can do this. Well, when I say we can do this, that's not actually true. What we can do is say that's not 8. Because if that's 8, we need a 9 in a circle. That can't be 9 by Sudoku. So this is a 9. But now by pencil mark, that becomes a 9. And that's double 9, which means we'd have to make this... It's just a concept I can't even articulate. It's so nonsense-worthy. Right, so that's not 8, which means 8 is in one of these two squares, which is unhelpful, I suspect. 5 by Sudoku. I can do that. That has to go there. Okay. Is that good? So 5 is in one of these 3 squares. Can't go there because it would be again creating a nonsense-worthy between line pair. So if 5 is here, it's really a middly digit and it's very disappointing and it's let itself down. Okay, so these squares are from 1, 3 and 4 because we know that whatever the other digit that's not 2 is here, it must join its friend the 1. Now that means that in those squares we have to have 7s and 9s. So there's so the 9 is placed in this box. It's got to go there because it can't go on the line. So now there's a 9 in one of those 3 squares. But again, that can still not be a 9 because that's going to create the nonsense-worthy thing. So 9 is in a domino. There's got to be a 2 and a 4 in there. That's probably doing something I don't understand. Right, those squares, let's actually just label them. 2, 3, 5, 7. Can I do anything with that? No. 3 here means this square's become a 1. That square's become a 4. That's a 4. That's a 5. Good grief. There's more. Of course, it's more Sudoku we're able to do at this point. Those digits have become 3. Oopsie. 3, 5, 7, and 8. Which means those are not 5. So 5 lives in one of those cells. And this is going to be very useful for the following reason. Come on, brain. Where's the reason? Give me the reason. 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 have to appear in these squares by Sudoku. Is that true? So that digit's become a 7 now, apparently, because of 8, where 8 goes in this box. So that's a 7. This, I think, has to be a 1, 6, 8 triple by Sudoku, which means those two squares have got to be a 2, 9 pair, which is not resolved, but it just doesn't do anything. 7 is in one of these two squares. I wonder if it can go on this. Oh, it can. Look, that's a 7. That can easily be a 9. We can already see that. Right, okay. Let's get rid of the pencil marked 1. Get rid of this square. This square can't be a 1. That square can't be a 6. And try and spot something else. Although I'm feeling more positive now, because at least we've broken the impasse. 3, 6, 7, and 9 down here. That square is a 3 or a 7, believe it or not, by Sudoku, because it can't be 6 or 9. 3, 6, 7, 9 down here. We know we've already looked many times at why that's not 9. So that digit is 3, 6, or 7. Which is neither here nor there, I suspect. 9 is definitely here. If that's 8, that square can't be 6 or 7. That would be 3. If that's 8, that's 3. What's wrong with that? Probably nothing. The 2 and the 4 here, is that supposed to be... If we put 2... yeah, there you go. Where does 2 go in this box? That's quite an interesting question. You can't put it on the line, because neither of those squares can be a 1. So 2 has to be off the line. Which... Oh, okay, so where does 1 go in this box? There's a 1, 2 pair. Good grief, so this is not 8. Oh, no, hang on. That's become an 8 out of absolutely nowhere. Now that means that's a 3, because I need to have a gap of 2 that's capable of being filled. This has become a 7. Aha! Right, so this is now a 6, 9 pair. 3 comes out of that square by Sudoku. This is 5, 7, so this is higher than 7, and it isn't 8. So it is 9. That's not 9 anymore. That square basically can be anything. It's just got to be 4, 5, 6. Well, let's actually label it 4, 5, 6, or 8. Yeah, that's not great, is it? Is there any... I don't know if there's a way of doing better than that. Okay, but now... Can we do better in this box? Because we've got to place 4, 5, and 7 into those squares. 4, 5, and 7. We know the 4 is in the quadruple, so this has become 5 or 7. It's a very interesting puzzle, this, because it's a lot of micro deductions that you have to put together reasonably competently. And yes, you could all have a go at me about my competence in that regard, but I don't think it's easy to find a linear... No, that's not true. I think there is a linear way through this, but finding it in a way that is with any sort of alacrity requires significantly good solving skills. Because you don't know where to look next, you have to feel your way for where the restrictions are applying. Okay, so I know there's a 3 in one of those. I know there's a 3 in one of those. If I put 3 there, one of these has to be 1 or 2, which I think could go either way at the moment. I've got a 6-9 pair here. Let's try and use that. 6 and 9 go in. So 9 is, 9 is placed in the corner. Oh, I haven't been looking for 3s in corners yet. There's still a couple of possibilities, definitely. 9 here gives me a 9 here, gives me a 2 here. So 2 is now in one of those 3 squares, which is very unfortunate. We could argue about please, where am I meant to look? It could be 8's in one of these. I don't know again. 2, 4. Oh, we've got all the odd digits here. So 2. So that's got to be 2 or 8. There's definitely a 4 and a 6 up here. It doesn't do anything again. 3, 5, 7, 8. It'd be very nice to know that, you know, if there was an 8 on this side of this quadruple. But this, I think... why is this clue here? What's it meant to be doing? I'm sure it's doing something very profound, but... That circle by Sudoku is possibly a 3, maybe? It can't be 4. Can it be 5? No, apparently not. Why can't it be 5? Oh, because there is a 5 in that domino from this 5, look. Okay, and that's how I've got that pencil mark down there. I wondered about that. So this is 3 or 7. It's only 3 or 7. You're kidding me. Okay. That's interesting, isn't it? So, is that under pressure then? 1, 4, 5, 8. 1, 4, 5, 8. Well, it's not 5, that one, because whether that was 3 or 7, there wouldn't be 2 digits between a 5 here and a 3 here or a 7 here. So that, whoopsie, got rid of the wrong digit. That is 1, 4 or 8 now. 4 looks very possible, doesn't it? There is a 4 in one of those squares. That's not 5. So 5 is up here. Sorry, I am trying. I know it probably doesn't look like I am, but I really am trying to spot what's going on. So if that's 4, because 5 is then up there, that would have to be 7. That doesn't work, does it? It's just not possible. If that's 4 and that's 7, and 5 isn't available, the only digit I can put there is 6. So that's also not 4. So this is now 1 or 8. There's a 1, 8 pair in this column. Good grief. Right, so those squares are 4 and 5. No, come on. Oh, where is 1 in this box? 1 can't. 1 is in one of 2 places. Whoa, okay, I hadn't spotted that. Oh, I see. Oh, I just don't think about these lines properly. There's something doesn't work in my brain. 8 in this box. Where does it go? Now 8 can't go on the line because 9 can't go on the line in the circles. So those 2 squares are 1 and 8, and that square is not a 2. So 2 is in one of these. 2 is in one of those. These are a 1-8 pair. So the rest of the digits in here are 2, 3. Well, we're going to have to check what we can eliminate using the circles in a moment. 2, but just from a pure Sudoku perspective, it's 2, 3, 6 and 7, isn't it? So that's not 2. That's not 6. That's not 3. So now let's take another stare. Has that done anything? If that's 8, that's got to be 3. And then that would be a 6-7 pair. If that's 1, that's got to be 7. Oh, and that would give us more options, I think. Right. Okay, that cannot be 2. That's the 2 in this box. If that's 2, that's got to be 1, because that cannot be 1. And 2, 1 here breaks that square. Good grief. Right, so that gives us a 2 here. That doesn't do... Ah, come on. I don't believe it. Okay. Alright, let's check this digit then, which is now 3, 4, 5, no, 3, 4 or 7, I want to say, because it can't be 5 by, or 7. 3 or 4 here now. So surely that's doing something, isn't it? No, come on. You are kidding me. There's no way. There's no way that this is not resolved somehow now. If that's a 3, that becomes a 7. That becomes a 6. So we're going downwards. So that's a 1. That's a 2. 2, 2. Oh, it doesn't break. Does it break? That becomes... I've got a horrible feeling that doesn't break, you know. What? Which way round was that? That was making that a 3. All right, let's make that a 3. That's the other place for 3 in that row. So if that's a 3, that's 6, 7. That becomes 8. That becomes 4. And that feels like all... Oh, hang on, that puts 3... Oh, hang on. There's something wrong there. Is that 3 pencil mark good? Is there really a... If that's not a 3, is that really a 3? I see, this is why Niverio's... That's not the only reason. Niverio's just a superbly clever person, full stop. But... yeah, it's these elegant little deductions that you don't see, and you've looked at them over and over again in the puzzle, and you haven't spotted them. And then when you finally spot them, you go, "Yeah, that's totally fair and totally reasonable and really clever." And I didn't spot it, and you've made me feel very, very foolish again. But if that's a 3, because that's a 3, this line is just busted. It's broken, isn't it? Because if you make that 3, that's big. It's got to be 8, but that's got to be 4. If that's 3 and that's 3, that's got to be 4, and you've got a 4 and an 8 there with a 3 on the line. So it's that simple. That's a 7, and the 3 in that row has to go here, and that's a 5, and that's a 4, and that's a 5, and now we're away again with some more deductions. Let's see what that brings us. Does that bring us any? That's a 6. Ooh, yeah, that could be good. So that's a 3. So we're going downwards, not upwards. So we can put the 1 and the 8, and that gives me a 2 here. The 2 and the 1 go in over on that side of the grid. So that's become a 1 by the power of simple deductions. 2 is now locked out of there. I suspect we can do better than this. This square is now not 5 or not 8. So this is 4, 6 or 7. So the 8 now seems to be living right down here, which is still underwhelming. I think I've never understood what this 8 was meant to be doing. Right, 5 now in this column is right at the bottom. So maybe it's just simply that, giving me this 8 now. Yeah, that gives me the 2 up there. It's possible, that's right. So now there's a 2 there. Is that good? Might be. This square is 4 or 6. Oh, I see. So that's 4 or 6, which makes that 7. That's 7, that 4, that 4, that's 6. Good grief. Okay. That's 8 now. That's 6. That's 1. So can we do more stuff up here? We probably can. Yeah, that's become... oh, hang on. I don't know what I've just taken out of there, but whatever it was, I have very little faith in it. 5 and 8, which means this is 3 and 7. Which gives me a 3-7 pair here. Makes that square have to be a 5, apparently. 5, 8. Are we getting a 3 in the corner? I'm not sure yet. We might be. It's possible. It's still possible. In fact, look. Oh, no, we're not going to get one. No, look, it breaks there. Bobbins. But we are. It doesn't matter, because we are slowly but surely getting somewhere. Now, that 2-4 has to be mimicked on this line, if I remember rightly. I realise the simple way of doing that is to use the 3 there, but you know me. Right, what are those squares now? 3, 6, and 8. Well, that gives me a 3 in the middle of the grid. And a 6 here, and an 8 here. And now there's an 8 hidden up here. That's a 2, that's a 4. That's a 4. And that should be a 6. What a brilliant puzzle. Let's click tick. Yes. Okay. Well, as you saw, I was totally lost for periods of that. That is a very, very clever puzzle indeed. There are, I don't know, about 6 or 7 steps when it's quite easy to get stuck, I'm going to contend. Now, ironically, me getting stuck on that digit was totally unacceptable, because that was just stupidity. And for that, I beg your forgiveness, and to be reasonably kind to me in the comments. I could have seen that much more quickly. But there was all sorts of stuff before that I was really struggling to grasp. And much of it was incredibly beautiful. I mean, just that green digit there is beautiful, wasn't it? It was beautiful that getting those 2 squares as a 1-9 was beautiful. I found it very hard to see that you could tell the order of those, but you could. And then I think I got lost in the weeds again for a while. I think I was trying to do stuff over here and failing to understand how that worked. Yeah, it's a fascinating puzzle, though. What an interesting combination of rules. Because, yeah, it's just hard to make your brain appreciate that, you know, these things, for example. That was very hard to see. Oh, yeah, now that's right. Yeah, this 7, this naughty 7 down here. The fact, yeah, this was very hard. The fact that you couldn't put 7 there and you couldn't put 3 there. That was very difficult for me to see. And again, I'm sure many of you spotted that quickly. Well done if you did. Let me know in the comments how you got on with this, especially if you really gave it a try. You know, how long has it taken me? An hour and a quarter, basically. You know, is that decent, given I'm explaining everything? Or is that inept? You tell me, kindly. But Niverio, again, made me feel somewhat stupid. And that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind. But I did get through your puzzle in the end, and very, very clever it is too. I loved it. And let me, yeah, as I say, bring it on in the comments, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.